Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Sunday. So, what is going on? How have you been? It is so good to see you. Let me get in a little closer here. Hello, everyone. Hi. I was running a little bit behind today. I've had a lot to do to catch up to being home. But anyway, I said, I came down to get on and realized I hadn't put any of my camera stuff back together from after getting home. From the retreat. So Mark came down, bailed me out like he normally does, and hooked up all my camera stuff to get me ready. So, hi, how are you? Hello. I do have a little bit of a cold and my head stopped up. I was trying so hard this week not to get sick, but it's hard when you've been keeping as busy as I have. Pardon me, just a second. Let me pull that curtain across just a little. It is so good to see all of you. Oh, honey, you're very welcome. I think of you all the time, and I don't always say things right, but I just wanted you to know that we love you, and we keep you very close to our heart. Please know that, and we always will. You are a dear lady, so you're very welcome, my sweetheart. So let me see. Oh, what are y'all? Oh, well, thank you, Miss Cheryl, my sunshine. Yeah, my hair is not quite there, but I jumped in the shower at 2:00 and had to wash my hair. So I was like, as long as it's on my head when I get there, it's all right. But anyway, thank you, Cheryl. You always make me feel good. So, and you'll notice a new flamingo thing up on the rolling stand. That's one of my tea towels that Miss Bonnie sent me. Yay! So, let me see. So did I read something real quick before I got on here? That Toni Morrison has started doing something? Somebody tell me. So, Kathleen Ziegler, it's so good to see you. And I'm hoping we see Mary Zaire today because I was trying to catch up with our website and realized she was in the hospital. So, gosh, y'all are just so great. And my Michelle Lang is here. I miss her. I wish that there was some way I could wiggle my nose and she'd be here and we'd be sewing together. Because, oh my gosh, I miss so much sewing with her every week. Hi, Jody. Oh, it's so good. Marsha's here. Woo! Marsha's making a pink quilt. I see Akko. So, Kobe Bryant just died in an airplane accident. Oh, no. Oh, that is so sad. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I'll have to tell Mark. We didn't know that. I am so sorry. Gee, and I tell you what, we've got to be careful with this coronavirus that's going around. Thank goodness China's taking it so seriously. And that helicopter accident, oh, that is so sad. But I tell you what, just remember, we are not just an island. This whole world, it is a global world. And if other countries were to stop exporting, we'd be out of supplies and food. I mean, this is a global world. And when something like this coronavirus that's popped up happens, we need to all take it seriously and see what we can do to help. Because all of us are just this far away from a crisis like that. And we travel all over the world. So we can't ever keep anything isolated. I was surprised so many people had traveled to that region of China. And we've got a case in North Carolina. I know there was one in Washington State, but just remember, we aren't just a country anymore. We're a world, and we are all related. We're all in this together. So we need to do what we can to stay friendly and help each other out. So anyway, Kobe Bryant, isn't he a basketball player? Am I correct? Oh, what is this with Sonia? What is Sonia? Oh, hmm. Good, Sonia. So I must have it then. Yay. That's right. He played for the Lakers. Okay, I remember that. And he seemed to be a very nice fellow. Some of the basketball players can be full of themselves, but he seemed to be a really nice guy. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. I thought the first thing, see, I try to still make my schedule of what I'm going to talk about so I don't sit here and kind of go, huh? But the first thing I thought I'd like to talk to you about is Myrtle Beach. And what did that all mean? What did that all mean? Myrtle Beach was a lot of fun this year. I had gotten to where I was like, oh, I don't know. And watching, and I have so much of a budget for going to any kind of quilt classes or quilt shows or expositions. But we had something sad happen in our state last year, which is the new North Carolina symposium finally realized there was not enough money in it, and they went out of business. So, and I always meant to go, never got around to it. How many of us are like that? And so I've lost that possibility. And I realize now I really like to be challenged. There's something in my eye. I have no idea, but it's floating around. But I love to be challenged. And so if I'm going to take a class, I want it to be more than a beginner level. I want it to be up there. I want it to really challenge me. So, I want to say, where do I want to spend my dollars? What do I want to spend it on? And is it going to challenge me? Is it going to lift me up, teach me something that I didn't know? And, when you've been quilting as long as I have, I've been around. I've read a lot of magazines and books, but the good thing about quilting, it's always growing and changing. There's always something new to learn, and that's important to me. So I went to Myrtle Beach wondering, will it challenge me? Will it teach me anything? And then when I got there, I realized these ladies are so nice, and it's good for me to get out and about. And I've been going to this. This was my 9th year. And I thought, there's something to be said for this. There's something to be said. The location is really good. The teachers are good. The classes, the problem is there aren't that many art classes. And there is a little something bothering me in this eye. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, it's nothing painful. It's just something that's on the lens. But anyway, but when I went and we had fun and we laughed, and I recognize enough of the ladies, and I don't know, it's good to get away, and it's a good time to get away because you're so busy to Christmas. And then January comes and you're kind of reevaluating your life and what am I going to do in 2020? And that's another thing I was going to tell you is I go alone and I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. Sorry again. I told you I've got a little cold, so I will do the best I can. I'm supposed to sneeze into my arm, but I'm here by myself. Sorry, Gromit. But anyway, but I did a lot of thinking this time because I went by myself and, I'm in my room by myself and like eating lunches and stuff and just really thinking. And I let my mind wander where it wanted. I tried to have some quiet time because it's been such a busy couple of months. And one of the things that I realized, I'm getting more and more frustrated with the number of unfinished projects. And I've always heard people be very concerned about their UFOs, their unfinished projects, and saying, I'm going to finish something before I do anything else. Well, that's just not my style. I need new things to keep my excitement up, to keep my creativity up. But what I'm getting to the point of right now is, hold on, I'm looking for a tissue. But what I'm finding, my unfinished projects, my things that I'd like to give to people that matter to me, like my children's wedding ring quilts, they're starting to kind of tug at me. They're starting to kind of pull me down. So I need to get these things finished so that I can maintain my creativity. Oh, you're funny, Kathleen. No, I'm not allergic to y'all. You missed Sunday Live last week, your grandson. Oh, that's fine. I was just hoping that maybe you started making some videos or something. I'm excited to see. I feel like Tanya Morrison has so much to offer, and I'm excited to see what she does with it. So, but I said, I want to make better use of my time. So the things I came up with, and sometimes, we've always got a TV on, or we've always got a smartphone we're messing with, or like me, can get lost for hours on the laptop. And what I said is I want to make my time a little more structured and a little more meaningful. I've been wanting to write. I've got a book that's been inside my head for years. I'd like to write. I want to get my quilts done, especially the quilts that are gifts to people, because how are they going to know what I feel about them, that I cared enough to make them that, if I don't ever finish it and give it to them? So let me see. I want to get projects done. I want to write. I want to make a specific amount of time that I spend in my studio. That recharges my batteries. I enjoy sitting on the recliner and on my laptop looking stuff up. I mean, there's something to be said for that. But I want to cut it down to 2 hours in the morning and then get down in the studio and create, because that's what really fills me up. So I want to be more productive. So those are the things I came up with. And I don't know if you ever take the time to think about, how's my life going? What would I like to change? What would I like to tweak? What would I like to do differently? But this is what I've come up with. And also, I'm even more committed to exercising every day so I can get in better shape. So I'm not one that does a lot of New Year's resolutions, because sometimes I feel like if I make too many resolutions, I can get overwhelmed and want to give up. So I don't want to do that. But I want to look at it as challenging myself to be happier and more fulfilled. So I hope that makes sense. But anyway, I just thought it'd be fun to tell you about that. And I also realized that the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party is a special thing. And I feel lucky. I was trying to think how I even learned about it, because when I went, I didn't know anyone there. So it wasn't like a friend told me. I don't remember. It was in 2012 or 2011 I found out and signed up, and went in January of 2012 was my first time. And I'm committed. So next year will be my 10th year. I've made 2 quilts every year. I'm pretty sure I've made 2 quilts every year. I usually don't sign up for the 3-day class, which means you'd only make 1. So I want to have all of my quilts done. And when they do the show and tell, I'm going to say I'm so proud of myself. this year I was determined and show all of them. So anyway, as I get them done, I will make sure to show them to you. So let's see. But anyway, I think I still want to go. And at some point, I may try to see if I can audition to be a teacher, switch over to teaching. I don't know. But I love the feeling of sitting down in a class with all my fresh fabric all cut up and my sewing machine cleaned and ready. And I don't know, that is just an exciting feeling. And to know you're going to be making something you've never made before. So that's fun. All righty. So it was fake news. Oh, well, I'm glad to hear it's fake news because I didn't want to think about anybody dying. I hate this fake news. I hate these fake stories. I hate anything that calls itself news, telling you something that's not scrupulously fact. But that's a subject for another time. So, oh, thank you, sweetie. And in fact, speaking of our landscape class, I'm sorry, too, that I couldn't. I knew I was fighting this cold. And the problem I have is when I get a cold, it turns into bronchitis. If I'm not careful, it turns into pneumonia. Other people of you that have asthma or have had pneumonia before know that you're then susceptible. So I try to be really careful. But anyway, I had gotten all my stuff out. I don't know. Let me see if you can see it. But I had gotten bunches and bunches of pink fabrics out, including my hand dyes. I had gotten all this out to do and then realized, I wish I had realized sooner, but at 6:00, I finally told Mark, I'm not up to this. I'm having the chills and my head was so stuffy and I just felt like I couldn't concentrate. So I had to cancel and I apologize very much. I wanted so bad to do it. So now let me see. What else is going on? Oh, that's a great idea. Maureen says she lives her life each day asking, if that were my last, what would you have been happy? Oh, to have done that. That is such a good way to think about it, guys. And you know what? Honestly, as we get older and we have more health concerns and more aches and pains, I think it can be a really good thing to spend a little more time with our hobbies. Because you know what? If I can have a day where my arthritis is aching, my hands are stiff, and I have a hard time closing them. And if I get busy working on something, you kind of then tune out the pain. And the next thing you know, you've used your hands enough that they feel better. So I'm all for you. Maureen, I think that's a beautiful way of looking. There's Mary Zare. Hi, sweetie. I was telling them, I don't know if you were here. I said, I didn't even realize you'd been in the hospital. I'm so sorry. And there's my Nikki. I see her now. In fact, I sent a little something. And Susan, I sent a little something for Nikki in the envelope. Something tiny. But, it's so good to see you. Yeah, I guess that the artificial story finally came out. And, I forgot to bring it down here. But Mark found, I think I'd already told y'all this, but Mark found that our cell phones were so old that I couldn't call home. It would drop the call. And, they make these phones to become obsolete. And so he said, look, I found a little smartphone, and it's an older one, but it's still current technology. Doesn't have the what's coming up technology, but we got some refurbished ones for $16. And that's all well and good. And then I had to buy a case for it. And then I found, you can't just put any case on it. You have to have one that fits that phone to have all the holes in the right places. This is a whole new world for them. And so got the case, and then, oh, you might want a tempered glass screen cover. And then Mark had to get something that would fit on his belt. I mean, okay. So I still don't know what I'm doing on it. I know how to turn it on and turn it off now. I'm really proud. I can make a phone call on it, but I have no idea otherwise what I'm doing. So, but anyway. Oh, it's just something little. But anyway, so now what I thought I would do is show you. Yeah, that's what Mark was telling me. He's like, you can't cover up that hole. That's for the camera. Oh, you can't cover up this. That's where you plug it in to charge it and all these things. I mean, oh, well, and it's old and it's an old enough style phone. That's why we got it so cheap that when I went to Walmart, he looked it up and said, no, we don't carry anything for that. If Walmart doesn't have the supplies you need, you're in trouble. Hold on. I'm going to have to sneeze, I think, again. I know. Find a child. I'm sure my grandson could come over here and go, Nana, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. So I thought I would show you my blocks. And then I forgot, but Jinny Beyer had a great sale right before I went to Myrtle Beach. So I'm going to show you what I bought because I had the urging of Mark. And when Mark says, go enjoy it, you do. So, oh, and I was thinking, gosh, my Russell, he's going to be a year old in March. So I got to plan a trip to see my Russell. But anyway, so I wanted to tell you about these classes a little bit. And I will send you the information for one of the quilts that you can get the pattern for free. And I'll be glad to lead you through step by step that quilt pattern. So it's a lot of fun. It's pretty quick and easy. And it's called Rubik Cube. And it is made for jelly rolls, 2.5-inch strips. So it's made, or fat quarters. It's really friendly for those. Yes, he's 10 months old now. So I was looking at the calendar for March and said, oh, my baby, I got to go see him. And I need to call them. I know I've been out of town and everything. But I just wanted to tell y'all, some of y'all are so sweet and you were worried about me. And yes, I have been pushing myself too hard. But you know what? This week when I got home Monday evening, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I slept every afternoon. I have never been so tired in my life. But you can't keep going at top speed for very long. It'll catch up with you. So, whew, I'm going to sneeze. I am so sorry. Okay. Yes, I can, but I don't know how to yet. It looks like from the best, Michelle asked, can you text with your new phone? In my old phone, I would know where to go to do text, but I think now you look under the phone number and then there's like a little icon that kind of has writing, but it looks like a chat. And so I'm worried if I write there, it'll charge me continuously because we're still on the pay by the minute plan. And I don't want to use up all my minutes and have to buy more. So I know. And see, I'm sitting in front of a bright window. When I get a cold, that sunlight just makes me want to sneeze. So anyway, but I wanted to show you a couple things about this, and I'd love to get y'all's opinion. Oh, no, it's not an iPhone. I can't afford an iPhone. It's an LG something. It's an older LG. Hi, Brenda. Now, Brenda, are you related to Patricia? Because it's not often we have two Frys, Frye. That's so cool. I love Pinehurst. That's beautiful down there. Bunches and bunches of golf courses. So, like a paper and text will be like, Dad, okay. I figured I'd be charged. I was with my old phone, but I just didn't want it to be like I'm in a chat space and it's just constantly running. I don't know. So I'm a mess. I don't know this kind of stuff. So I'm going to show you this quilt again. And I was thinking of putting it on point. But then I thought of a problem. I thought I could just turn. I fussy cut my centers. And let me show you one of them. See this? I fussy cut my centers. If I put these on point, I have to cut new ones because I should have cut the centers on point if I wanted them to show on point. Now, I do have some more fabric, but do I want to go through this again? Because, I don't have as much as I thought. Of each of the different designs on here, you end up with a lot of waste. The only thing some of these strips are good for is applique. So that's going to be a problem. Hold on, I've got to turn a fan on. I'm having a hot flash. I just love it when anyway, I'm going to get through this. I just want to tell you. So, oh, thank you. Okay. Oh, really? Oh, Moore County is full of fries. That's good to know. Wow. Okay. So, this is what I'm wondering. Yes, I'm having a personal summer moment. I tell you what, it's too much. But I would have to go through here and cut out like 5 of this one, 5 of that one, 5 of that one, like, oh, and I love this one. So I'd have to cut out 5 of that one. And it wastes a lot of fabric because when you fussy cut, you end up ruining the ones around it. So, but I just thought on point would be pretty and it would give me more background to do the quilting on. Because one of the things I love about these blocks is that the contrast of the bright white. That's one thing I love about modern quilts is they look so clean and fresh. So I've got to make that decision, and I really should do it. Besides recutting the fussy centers, then I would have to reinsert them in all 25 blocks. See my blocks? So, and, okay, so I want to show you a few things about how I did this today. And I've got all my different pieces here, and let me see. And then for each block, you have to make, 4 of these. And so I'm going to show you how to do a curved seam. And I'd like to show you how I do some cutting. So let me find some of the pieces I have not cut yet. Now, how do I say this? I will never make another one of these again. Because this is hard. This is very, very hard. Number one, I don't like doing repetitive things. Why I thought I was a traditional quilter for 20 some years, I don't know. Because I don't like doing something twice. When I used to make all my daughter's clothes, I would have to sew for both of them. I would make them matching outfits, and I would have to sew each step of both at the same time because I couldn't stand making one dress and going back and making another dress just like it. It drove me nuts. So that's part of what made me realize I'm an art quilter. I don't like doing repetitions. Some people are comforted by doing repetitions. They like it. They like seeing their pile of sewn, half square triangles growing. I'm like, I got to do it again? I already did it. I got to do it again? So, but anyway, but as you can see, it's just doing the same thing over and over. This is such a beautiful pattern. I'm going to finish this. Even if it kills me, I'm going to finish this. And I mean, it's beautiful. And of course, it's my signature colors. And so anyway, so what you thinking? You probably wouldn't redo it? Yeah, that's the hardest part. I've got to decide because it's going to really set me back. And it was so hard to do the first time. Well, let me change my camera. And I might have to end up talking a little bit faster because my cold is getting worse and worse the longer I sit here. So my eyes are starting to water and my nose is getting ruddy. But let me see what I can do. All right. Here we go. All right. Now let me show you how to use this ruler. And I want to show you again, this is the quilt that drew me to this. And look at the quilting in that. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that just simply gorgeous? So that's what got me all excited about this. So now you have, the pattern was like $12, and I highly recommend it. You would go to, I'll give you the address or the name of the company. So Kind of Wonderful. And you find that online, and then you can order it. And it's called the Urban 9 Patch. But anyway, so this gives you instructions for how to lay the ruler on the fabric and how to cut these curves. And like right now, I'm going to get ready and show you this, because what the teacher did is she gave us the fabric that the fabric sizes that she wanted us to cut before we came to class. So here is, I'll put one of these down. Let me see if I can. Okay, you put one of these down, and then, whoops, I'll get this back in here. All right. So, in fact, this pink cutting mat, I got one of the years at the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party. So that's fun. All right, so I am left-handed. Sorry about that, but I am left-handed. So I'm going to show you, whoops. I'm going to show you the best I can on here. All right, and I have to, this piece is a 3-inch by 8.5-inch rectangle. And if I place this just right, it will cut both of the pieces that I need. And I believe I put this on 2 3/4. Let me double check, please. Nope, I put it on the 3-inch mark. Okay. So I put this on the 3-inch. One thing that's good to do is press the middle of this rectangle. Now, some of you are saying, wait a minute, I don't know what you're doing. But if you ever get this ruler, it's called the Quick, let me put this behind it, the Quick Curve Ruler, okay? And it's at the same site, So Kind of Wonderful. And honestly, it does, the ruler does help. I'm not a big one on spending a lot of money for a ruler that I might not ever use again. But when I make the scallop edges of this quilt, guess what? I'm going to use this, and that way the scallop will match the curve in the blocks. And I think that would be so pretty. So I need to line up the bottom of this fabric along the 3-inch line. And then I need to put the 4. This is 4 1/4. Oh, wait a minute. No, she had it. That's right. I put them right here in between these. She had us put this little tape. I don't know if you can see the little tape to show us where to mark this. And so I line this up here, put the bottom along the 3-inch line of the ruler, put each side where these dotted lines are. Then I open my cutter, and there is a gap here that you're going to run the cutter along. And you can't use anything bigger than a 45 millimeter blade. And if you run the cutter along the outer edge of the curve, then always run it along the outer edge of the curve. If you run it along the inner side of the curve, always run it there, because that'll give you about 1/8 of an inch difference. So now I have these two pieces. This piece, you would think, well, what is that for? Believe it or not, you put it against a blue curved piece, and it makes this piece. And then this goes on your blocks right here. This goes like this on the block. So now what I'm going to do, so now you've seen, can you see that here is where you're going to use this? And let me look, I believe yes. And then to do this one, we had to cut yet another piece. So you can see, we cut the major parts of this in class, and see, I used some tape and write exactly what it is. And this piece is G1, I believe. Wait a minute. Yes. I believe that when I cut these two apart, okay, this is G1, this is G2, and then we had to take narrower strips and cut this, which is G3. Let me see if I can get this out. But you have to keep everything marked and together so you don't get them confused. And here is the G3, which is slightly different. And so let me show you. So G1 goes here. Then G2 goes here, and then you have to have one of these. Now, I'm not going to show you how I cut these, but there's another way you use the ruler to cut them like this, and that's another whole thing. But as you can see, to do this, you would need some kind of instruction. So you take the G1 and you put this piece. This is your accent stripe. Then after you've sewn these together, then you take your G3 and you sew that together. And I don't know if you remember, but I made a whole mess of half square triangles. I made 100, in fact, half square triangles. And then that's where these come in, because after these are all sewn together, then you put one of these on each end and you get the swag effect. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is show you how to sew these together. So now I have to turn my machine around. Isn't that a lot of curved piecing and seaming? We were exhausted. We were like, okay, this is not fun. But you know what? Sometimes things that are the most beautiful and precious aren't necessarily fun. All right. Now let me tilt this down just a touch. And I wanted to let y'all know that Mr. Mark solved the problem of the screw in my machine coming loose. So I'm so proud of him. That super glue worked. So I'm really proud of him. All right, so what you do is you take your curve piece. This is G2. Take your curve piece and mark the center using your fingernail. You could use you could mark it with something on the back. You could iron it, but your fingernail will leave a nice crisp line, okay? So I take this here. Then I take my blue piece. I do the exact same thing to it. I fold it exactly in half and use my fingernail and crease it, okay? So now let me open this and show it to you. See that nice crease? All right. So now you're looking at these two pieces, and let me see which one is the right side of this. Yeah, that's the prettiest side of the fabric. And you take and you put this, you always work with what she calls the smile side. You sew on the smile side. And then it looks odd to put this on top. You see how I have that on top? It looks odd, but trust me, that's the way you do it. And so you match up the two center creases, and then I take a nice fine narrow pin and pin it very carefully. And I like to pin it twice. Why? Because if you pin through the fabric once, see how it goes through the fabric twice? It is now going to stay in position better. Then I take and I come up here. I don't line the tip of this up because think of where the 1/4 of an inch would be. The 1/4 of an inch would be all the way down here, and the 1/4 of an inch here would be here. So see where, if you were to mark this on this triangle, see how far back the 1/4 of an inch would be? So then by the time you match up where the 1/4 inches would be, you have a little tip showing through. And that is the correct position for these, okay? Because this is a different angle than that sharp point, okay? Now, then I go to the other end, and with the same thing, letting that little tip peek through, I put another pin. That's all the pinning I do. Now, some people don't bother to pin, but then the problem you have, if you don't pin, the problem you have is then you might stretch. Both of these are biased edges. They're on the curve. They're not on, this is a straight of grain here, but this is on the curve. Now, what I'm going to do too is keep the white on top, because if you look at it, which side looks like it has more to fit in? It looks like it might be the blue, just by a little. I let my feed dogs will feed that in, okay? So now, let me see. Whoops, I'm trying to show you. Oh, well, we'll do it the best we can. I'll do it the best I can. I need one more joint, elbow joint on this camera to make it perfect. All right, so now I'm going to start right near the end, and I've got my 1/4 inch foot. I've got the white on the top so that if there's any excess, if the blue is a little more full, the feed dogs will ease it in. Okay, so here I go. All right. And the thing that's hard with the curved piecing is just going slow and checking to see if the fabrics are still lining up. I'm coming up onto the halfway point. So far, I don't have any puckers. And that's what because you can give them a slight little pull, but you don't want to pull too much. It's just a matter of being gentle, slow, and easy. All right. So I'm going to come on around the last part. But it's really not hard. But when you're doing so much of the curved cutting and so much of the curved piecing in a class, you're kind of like, But there we go. So now let's see how I did. I'm going to take out my 3 pins. And I pin every time, but I only use 3 because you really want to let the fabric ease itself in. I'm going to be turning the seam allowance to the dark, and I'm going to go in here with my fingers and finger press this and then show you. See, that's really not hard. And if you look on the back, I did a really good job with a very straight and even 1/4 inch. So now this piece needed another piece on top of it. So we're going to come here, press the center seam, and put it on top of this center seam. And remember, they look weird. This one's going down, this one's going up. Put your pin to match the center. That's really important to have these centers matched. But the reason I feel like it's very important to pin is I don't want to stretch one bias too far. And that would be very easy to do because you know how biases stretch. So then I'll put this one up here. And this time it's a little piece of the blue that's showing through because that's the sharpest point. This is a blunt point. So now I'll put it down and get ready to sew. I'm letting it follow along the edge of the 1/4 inch foot and the edge of this 1/4 inch tape that I bought to mark this. That's really important. All right, so I got to keep the edges of the fabric roughly together because if you were to pull too hard, the blue one might slip underneath. Oops, I might end up with a little bit of a pucker here. Let me see. I'll see what I do. But that's another thing is trying to make sure they're feeding even enough. You know, you might have to do a gentle tug on one or the other of the fabrics to get them to feed smoothly. And see how I'm kind of, well, I'm trying to like hold it and feed it so that, okay, trying to hold it and feed it so I'll get the smoothest result. So now let me take my pins out. My hand blocks. I'm going to get Mark to find a way to do an overhead camera thing here. And if anybody can do it, here I did get a little tuck on this one. But I'm going to see if I can't iron that out. I don't think it's worth going back in and doing it again. But I'm going to now try to push. I want to push the blue it's the seam allowances towards that dark blue because I don't want any shadowing to come through. So this piece didn't quite lay quite as flat, but that's not bad. That is definitely acceptable. And the little tiny tuck I can press out. I don't think that's going to be a problem. So now I've made this piece. So, oh, who is leaving? Oh, bye, Susan. We'll miss you, hon. Thank you so much for everything. Take care. All right. Susan, you're a doll baby, honey. Talk to you soon. All right, so now I take this side and I'm going to press right here. Okay? That's the center of that. I'm going to do the very same thing with this. And just line this up and pin it. And then come to the edge. This time it's going to be the green that hangs over just a little bit. And pin it. This is definitely an heirloom quality pattern. This is something that I think my family would want to hold on to for generations. So I'm glad I'm making it. It's not going to be one that I'm going to rush out and say, oh, let me try this. I'll make one for everyone. But, okay. Our Susan Smith is still here. We have two Susan Smith. Oh my goodness. But I'm glad my Susan Smith. I hate to see any Susan Smith go, but y'all know how attached I am to my Sue Smith. So anyway, okay. So now I'm coming in here and I'll lay this on here. Okay. Lay this down here. And whoops. It'd have been nice if I had put a leader on that. And let me see, is there any, let me see if I can. Okay, let me get my edges together because I want you to be able to see it. I try to keep these edges together. Okay, let's see. All right, and now I'm holding it and I can see with the dark one that the edges are staying together. I lift this up just a little bit to make sure that the fabric underneath has a chance to work its way in. You do know how to do that, don't you? Like, let's say if for some reason you had too bulky of fabric under the bottom, you always put the bulky fabric on the bottom. Let the feed dogs do their job. So let's say you're sewing along and you realize you've got too much fabric underneath here. Lift up and sew. See how I'm lifting it up? When you do that, it'll work the excess fabric in without any puckers. It's an amazing trick. And it's just letting the feed dogs do their job. So anytime I feel like I'm getting too much fabric underneath, you'll watch me lift it up and then slowly put it down and let it in. All right, so let's see how I did on this one. I'm going to back up just a touch, take out my pins, and I'm a girl who doesn't like to pin, but let me tell you, I have learned my lesson. If it needs pinning, do it, because ripping it out and doing it again takes longer than the few seconds to pin. Now, let's say you want to force this. The easiest way would be to push this towards the curve. But I don't want shadowing, which is where the dark color might show through here. So I'm forcing it to go down. And then I'm doing finger pressing. Some people use their thumbnail or fingernail to finger press before I take it to the machine. But I want to show you, look how smoothly that came out. So really, that's not bad, is it? That's not bad, is it? So now this is what we were complaining about. And I think if we hadn't have had to do all of the cutting out and all of the sewing, I mean, it was just a little too much curve activity, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to see if my iron will heat up. I will get these sewn. But you can see where this is something that I'll work on from time to time. It won't be something I sit down and work on until I'm completely done because it's just too much. Just too many curves for a Deb. So, okay. So let me see. I want to try to press out those little puckers right there. So, luckily, and oh, I know what I was going to show you. You know what you can do with this? I can come in here and clip until right about up to 1/8 of an inch from the thread. That will also help distribute all of that fabric and help it lay flatter. So see what I did? If you've ever sewn clothes, you're used to doing this. It's called easing in that fabric. And I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of these here. And that way, when you press it, but don't cut into the thread. Stop 1/8 of an inch away. And 1/8 of an inch is not much. Or actually, you stop maybe 1/16 of an inch away. But now I have just clipped these to ease that. Now let's see what happens when I go to iron it. That's the thing people don't realize. Fabric is a movable thing. It is not hard like woodworking. It is not stiff. like some other kinds of like scrapbooking would be. This is malleable, and I think that looks pretty darn good. There's still just, maybe you have to do a little stretch there and then press it again. You can also steam it and press it, and that'll help it ease that in and make it lay flat. Then here's this one. I'm going to go ahead and clip little eases in this seam allowance too, going around the corner. And once you have quilted this, you don't have to worry about it being weak. It'll be quilted down and be stable. And I'm having this go to the dark also because I don't want to have shadowing. I told you about a red and white quilt that I judged at the quilt show I judge every year. See how nice it lays? Look at that. Nice and flat. See? It makes me look like I know what I'm doing. Surprise! So anyway, that is what I wanted to show you about this quilt. So let me move this out of the way. And then, but now you know why this was a 2-day class and why after 2 days I only got 4 blocks done. And let me tell you what, I was feeling just a touch pouty and thought, well, I don't have to finish this class. And then I talked to Mark, and he kind of gave me a little talk and said, you don't have to, but that's why you wanted to go there. So anyway, so now I'm going to just give you a quick little overview of Rubik Cube, because I like to come home. Maybe you're going to get bored of me doing this, but I like to come home and kind of show you what I did in class so that you feel a little bit like you were there too. And I do have a lot. I have a large video I made class, and so I will be showing you that too. I have to get it edited, and I've been falling asleep when I try to edit, so I apologize for that. But let me tell you about this one. And since oh, that's a good idea, Jody. Jody says when she does curves, she uses a tiny line of Elmer's glue instead of pinning. I love that. I love that. So that is great. And, but anyway, I had all these pieces, all these different colors laid out when I got to class. And I had to go buy, I only had this yellow, and I had to go buy a lighter and a darker. Here was the darker one. And so that I had, this is the way it goes. Light, medium, and dark. But it depends on where you touch on this fabric, what looks darker. Then I had to have 3 oranges. And so I bought this one, and then I had my lighter one already, okay? And these are going to be the connectors. Your blues, all these in the back are supposed to kind of fade out and let these woven pieces come to the forefront. Now, you can go and find this pattern. It was written by Heidi Pridemore. And if you go to Bernatex's, I believe, that's where you can find the free pattern. So this is free. In fact, you can see in the corner, free pattern. All right. So when I got to class, all of a sudden I saw the fabric key and realized what I had to have to make this look good. And it shows, yep, you go to Bernatex's. Let me show you this so you can write it down. Bernatex.com should have this free pattern, and it's called Rubik, not Rubik's, Rubik Cube on Bernatex. and it's by Heidi Pridemore. So it's a very easy to follow, and you have to, okay, she mentioned something here, and it says you have to use precise 1/4-inch seams. Diana Wright is here, yay! And you have to use precise 1/4-inch seams. Well, let me tell you something that you might not be aware of. Each sewing machine has its own personal 1/4-inch seam. Even if you use a 1/4-inch foot, whatever you do, your 1/4-inch is going to vary from one machine to the next. So one thing I do want to warn you about, I have a sewing machine I use upstairs and a sewing machine I use downstairs. If the pattern is so critical, like this one is, to have the exact 1/4-inch seam, see all these little pieces that have to fit precisely? It's a very easy pattern to make, but you have to have everything uniform, which means when you cut it out, use a June Taylor ruler. You know, I have shown you June Taylor rulers. Let me grab it. Now, this is my giant June Taylor, but I love these things. They have little, what do you want to call these? Little cutouts for you to cut the fabric. And what you do is you lay it over the fabric on your cutting board, and you put your rotary cutter in the slot. Slot is the word I was looking for. You put it in the slot and you run it along and you cut them. This will improve your cutting accuracy tremendously. It will cut your cutting time by 50 to 75%. I'm serious. I love them. I have them in 4 sizes, and this is my favorite. If I had to pick one tool to take with my sewing supplies on a desert island, it would be that, you know. Well, as long as I can take my rotary cutter, yeah, and my mat, you know. I don't want to have to choose only one thing. So, but anyway, I love those. They're called shape cuts. It's Busy Pat's birthday. Happy birthday, Busy Pat. Yay, yay. And any news, Busy Pat, on that grandbaby that's coming? Oh, that's wonderful. Happy birthday. So just remember, your cutting has to be absolutely accurate, and your sewing. So pick one machine and cut on it. Now, you know, there's my Busy Pat. Oh, congratulations, sweetheart. Gosh. And we want to hear anything about that grandbaby. In fact, I don't know if you know Busy Pat. Oh, he's growing and is so cute. My grandson Russell, he's 10 months old. His parents are expecting again. So we're so excited. Yours is 5 months now. Yay. Oh, that's wonderful, sweetheart. Wonderful. So anyway, but just remember, if you have to have an accurate sewing measurement, use the same machine. Switching from machines, they're liable to be just that much off. So, okay. So then you have to be careful how you cut. You make some block pieces. This is easy. You know how to make these. You put the square. Now, you can draw a line to be exact, but we don't have a due date quite yet. So I'm hoping that she's gone to the doctor for her first visit, and we'll find out. But how exciting. How exciting. Yes, I want to make some more quiet books. He loves those quiet books. So, but you know how to do this. You can draw a line across the diagonal, sew on the line, or just a scant less than the line, and flip it over, and you end up with that piece. Then you have to do one of 2 different colors. You put them together, and you make 10 of them. So I did that, and there are block 1 you have to make. Here is block 1. Then you have to make block 2. See the difference in the shading? Block 2. But you have to be careful because you want to be able to follow the knotted pattern through each block. And if your placement's not just right, so let me tell you what I did to make it easy. I did see all of the blocks in, in block 1. So this is block 2. Okay, let's look at block 1. Basically, you're making 3 and 4 patches. So see these 4 patches on the end, and then there's a 4 patch down that end, 4 patch down here, a 4 patch, back here. And then see these 3 patches, because it's a rectangle instead of 2 squares. And these centers are the ones you pre-made already. So what I did to make this as easy is just sew 10 of each unit, because each block has the same units in the same location, okay? So by doing that, I hunkered down in class. I got 50% of the quilt done. So then for block 2, now I'll have to make block 2. But it's just make each, I think it, for me, because, you know, I have a hard time staying focused, I would make 10 of this, 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 10 of this. And I've already made the centers. And this, for block 2, here are the center units for that. I know, my squirrel. Oh, that's good. That is great. Thank you, Diana. So, now, you might have noticed something. Do you see there's a seam right here? And this was supposed to be a rectangle. But when I got my fabrics, I realized that I was going to have this red some other place. And I realized it needed to be in the center. So I said, well, you know what? I've got enough of the 2.5-inch squares. I just sewed them together, made it a rectangle. No one's going to know, especially once I quilt it. Nobody will know. So anyway, this class was fun and it was a joy. And it was so simple. But, and it shows you, let me bring you down here. Okay. So this, I was giving it to you upside down, wasn't I? Well, yeah, okay. So what I need for this is L. So there's L. See this block up here? L. Then I need M. And my colors don't quite match up with that on there, but that's okay because I did a few things a little different. Here's what I'm placing for N and K. Then K. K is the background. So it tells me L, M, N, and K. Okay. So I just take, this is so simple. After doing all those curves, it was nice to have a class where it was very simple. Okay. Now, so you just take these two right sides together, stitch it up, open it back out. I always, on this one, now she ironed her seams open, but girlfriend, that's too much trouble for me. So I tried to finger press that, and it's not very accurate, but anyway. So you do that one. Then with this, I take one of these. Come on, silly. Come on. Okay. One of these and one of these, and do the same thing here. So then I just stitch these together. In fact, I'll do this real quick just to make this folding back easier. Oh, this is the way I can do it to show y'all as I'm sewing. Ah, I like it. All right, so I bring these out. And I'm just going to nip them apart. All right, and when I fold these, I'm going to fold the seam allowance to the dark. When you do that, just make sure you always have the dark on top. So here, the darker yellow is the dark. Have that on top, lean it back, and finger press. And then what I do is I take this, and guess what? Do you see what the seams do? They nest. This is an Eleanor Burns trick. You nest those seams like this, and then you can come over to your sewing machine. I've got my 1/4 inch foot, and just run it through. Okay. Then when I take this out, I put the dark, this is darker than this, so I put this on top, and I finger press back, and there you go. I think that's pretty good. So, and for Deb, that's close enough. I mean, you could, still, I think that's good enough for Deb. I don't think you'll notice that. Y'all are seeing it super up close and personal. So this would be this block right here. There, just like this. It's this block. I would make 10 of these. Then I would come along to this one, and this one has an F. It has an N, and it has a K, which is the background. So then I would make, whoops, let me make sure you can see it good. All right. So I would make 10 of these. And this is where you get that 3 patch. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So I'd make 10 of those. So then I'd have 10 of these and 10 of these. And don't sew them together yet. Then I would take, let's look at this one. I have a 0 or O, an L, a background, and an M, which is the dark green. So I'd now sew these together, make 10, sew them together, make 10 of this. Then once I had all 10 of this first row, sew those together, okay? And this is the easiest, fastest method. And then you just do the same with this. You already have this unit right here. This is this unit. And this way, when you do them this way, we had a lot of ladies that were trying just to sew one number 1 and one number 2, and they were getting everything confused. And then that pattern was not coming through, okay? So by doing it, by sewing all 10, you've already got these 10, all 10. Then put this row together, then make all 10, make all 10, make all 10, sew that together. Then by the time you sew these rows together, you are accurate. You don't have any problems to worry about. So I'm hoping that kind of, let me bring this camera back up. Okay. I'm hoping that gave you a good idea of how to approach a quilt like this that has to be accurate and that has to be in the right position. Because if it's not, you're going to lose that cute, knotted, twisted, rope-looking feel. So I think that'll give you a good hint about that. But here are some of the other colors I've used in it. My colors are slightly different than the patterns because the pattern was based off of a certain fabric line that I didn't get. I bought the line I got from, in fact, here, I'll tell you right here, Fat Quarter Shop. And it was such a good price. I couldn't believe it. I got 20 fat quarters for $36. And then my background came from Pineapple Fabrics. The first quilt, I shopped my stash. except that blue came from Pineapple Fabrics, and my background white. This one, I bought just the pack of fat quarters, and then I bought a half a yard of the background binding. I think I bought a little more than a half yard of the binding. And the yellow, and then when I got up to class, I had to buy at least a half a quarter yard of 2 yellows and 2 oranges. So I spent a little bit more on this one, but it was still fun. But anyway, so then when you get block 1 and block 2 made, they've got in this free pattern. Yeah, please tell Marty we're thinking of him, sweetheart. Gosh, what a dear heart he is. And I'm so, if you have good parents and good family, that's worth everything. And some of us wish we had had that. So, see this quilt right here? This is your layout, and this is really important. So what you're seeing is you do block 1, a block 2, then a block 1 again, and a block 2. So you lay it out based on this, then you can't go wrong. You just look at your block, see how it, make sure it's pointed the right way. In fact, you know what I would do? I'd put a little marker, which was the top of the block, because that's another thing. You have to have them pointing the right way. So, okay. But anyway, if y'all would like, we could do this as a group. So you just let me know, and let me show you the blocks that I've done. And some of these, not everything matches as good. It was so cute. I was sitting next to a man, and he was probably about 80 years old, and he had come with his wife. Sweet couple, married 57 years, and sweet, sweet couple. And so I was going to go up and show my blocks for show and tell. And I was looking at them and turning them and twisting and trying to get them just right. And, oh, that's great. And thank you, Miss Susan. And so I was trying to line them up, because after I was sitting beside him because we were at the banquet. And I was lining them up on my lap, and he said, "You're trying to get the prettiest ones on top, aren't you?" I said, "I sure was. Good for you." He said, "I understand that." I thought he was cute as he could be. But yeah, not all of them do the seams line up as well. And so, but what I have here are 10 blocks, or 50% of the quilt. So by just keeping my head down and sewing and doing each component, doing all 10 at one time, and then doing one row at a time, you don't get them confused. They all come out right. There are no mistakes. So there are my 10 blocks. Now let me see. This is in the back. It should mean it's my worst. So let's look and see why Deb thinks this is her worst block. Oh, I see some reasons. Are you ready? Okay. Oh, gonna have to take that back open. Then down here, look at this orange where it meets the red. Oops. Yep. Okay. There was one other one. Let me look. Yeah, this yellow one does. Oh, yeah, this yellow doesn't quite meet the orange. And since this is a simple, see where the yellow right there, it doesn't quite meet. So since this is a simple quilt, yes, I will be taking, I was thinking it was my chickens outside my window, but it's just a breeze. But I will be taking this apart, working on bringing that close together. This is not an award-winning or a heirloom quality quilt, but I'm going to be looking at it. So, and most likely I will do something that kind of emphasizes those junctions when I quilt it. So I think I'll redo those. So anyway, those were my 2 classes. And as I've said before, I will be more than happy to work on these with you if you want to try either of them. I can do videos on them. We can work on the Rubik's Cube as a group because it's a free pattern. The other one, I don't share patterns that somebody worked hard and is hoping to make a little money off of. But if you're willing to buy the pattern, I'll be happy to help you. So, because that's one thing I love is I love teaching y'all on here if I can. I love when y'all teach me. I tell you what, get Tanya on here and she'll teach us everything. She's amazing. So, or Diana Wright, although Diana Wright could show us so much about quilting. So, pressing open. Okay, now that busy Pat just gave us another hint. Sometimes you can turn the seam allowance from one way or the other, and it'll help just a little make the seams line up better. She said if she presses them open. Because think about it. When you press the seams to one side, they're kind of going around the corner. So, all right, thank you, Busy Pat. You just taught. I never thought about pressing them open, that would help that. So, one question I'd like to ask you when I'm working, and I'll get a little farther, but here's a photo of that quilt, and it's got a narrow little border and then a binding. Well, I'm going to have little bits and scraps of these fabrics left over. So I was kind of wondering, what if I took my scraps and cut them into like narrow little piano keys and put them end to end and ran it on the outside of that narrow background border right before the binding. Because the binding I bought is just kind of, it's the navy, I think it's the navy blue right there. And that's going to be kind of boring. And then the background is kind of boring. So I might take my scraps and make them like little pencil things and sew them together end to end to make a little narrow border. Do any of you have any ideas? So just a little something to kind of jazz it up. All right, so what I have to do now, I showed you where I've got my fabric out ready for my flamingo. Boy, and looking, I got to tell you this too. I don't know how you search the internet, if you search it on a regular computer, a laptop, or your smartphone. But one thing I do when I'm thinking of doing a topic like the flamingos, I go on Google and I type in images of flamingos. And then I make myself a folder on my computer, and every image I like, I save as and put it in that folder. I get so many ideas. And I was going to use abstract fabric. Jody, I was thinking of using like bright abstract fabrics like this to make my flamingo. But after seeing the gorgeous feathers on them in the technical, the images, the real images of real flamingos, now I'm kind of thinking I might want to do it more realistic. So I know you're doing your hummingbird realistic. So I'm thinking of trying some thread painting techniques. I'm thinking of getting some water-soluble stabilizer, putting it in a ring and doing some really delicate thread painting and making a few actual feathers so that, I don't know. But anyway, we'll see. But I can't wait. This coming up Thursday, there will be, I call them Landscape Live Thursdays, but this one is going to be an Art Quilt Thursday. And because of Jody, we're doing all things ornithology, birds, and more birds. So whatever bird is your favorite, penguins, whatever. And I've got some photos to show you. I think it was my Cheryl Lemon that is working on the cutest owl. And oh my gosh, I've got photos to show you, so I can't wait. In fact, I better get busy. I wanted to tell y'all something too. I've got my Jinny Beyer fabric in. I put a pork roast in the crock pot today. And in it, I put some dehydrated grapes that I hadn't eaten yet. And they're still good. They just dehydrated a little bit, which should intensify their flavor. And then I put 2 types of mustard, Dijon and then regular yellow, and rosemary and onion and a little garlic and oregano, salt and pepper, grape jelly. Cut up some Granny Smith apples to give it some tartness and put Granny Smith apples all in around it. Used, instead of water, because you have to put something in the crock pot, I used apple cider. So I'm kind of doing a fruity, savory, big pork roast because I forget to get pork, and like I'm always looking for a way to add it in. But anyway, it's up in the crock pot. Oh, let me tell you what, though. I would trade it in a heartbeat for some of Diana's Wright's gumbo and, oh gosh, what was the other thing? Fajitas or something? Oh my gosh, I would trade it in a heartbeat. But anyway, I'm smelling that pork roast and I love it. One thing I've been doing a lot because, you know, you get to a certain age and you get tired of cooking every night. So the other night, made 5 quarts of spaghetti. And it's so nice because the problem is Mark likes to cook a quick and easy meal during the week for us. He enjoys that. But you don't always want fish sticks and tater tots, you know. I'm trying to eat healthier, lose this weight, get in better shape. And so when I make chili, I try to freeze a couple quarts of that. I make extra because, you know, it only adds a few minutes to your time. And then I freeze them, put them in quart containers, freeze them. And then if we want something, we just pull it out, thaw it, and eat. So with this pork roast, I'm going to be putting that in containers too. And so we'll have it tonight. And then I'll put at least 2 other meals away. So I'm excited. That's what I do. And it's also to help me do more sewing because he enjoys cooking those kind of easy things. And I can sew while he's cooking. So that'll be nice. But I wanted to show Bonnie that this week when I wasn't feeling good, I pulled back out my LaFleur. It was up there and I didn't feel good enough to sit at the machine. I said, let me pull that out and work on it. So I wanted to show Miss Bonnie because I'm really proud of myself. This is where I showed a lot of maturity and patience. I had sewn these on and they just were too heavy and overwhelming for the piece. So I opened all my seams and made them more delicate and more narrow. You see? More delicate and more narrow. And there's where I've repinned it, you know, and I'm still going to pull out this. I've got to pull out a little bit more. But I even took off some of the buds. I evened out this black circle around the pink. So I just wanted to show Bonnie that part of my getting things done includes this, and because this is from Miss Bonnie and her paint chip challenge. So don't worry, Miss Bonnie, I'm on it. I am on it. And I use YLI silk thread to do my needle turn hand embroidery. And I love it. It's something I can do in the evenings. I use the very narrow, thin. I use straw needles or applique needles or Milner needles. Now, Milners tend to be a little bendy, but they're nice for doing curves and tight areas because they do flex a little. So anyway, I think this is going to be a beautiful quilt. I really do. Thank you, Miss Bonnie. But I just wanted to show Miss Bonnie I'm working on it. I'm being a good girl. So, okay. So now I'm going to show you my Jinny Beyer fabric, and then I'm going to show you the photos before we leave. So, okay. I I'm going to move this because it would be like me to accidentally put something heavy on it. And you see that curve? That would be very vulnerable to breaking. So I'm going to move that far away because this is a mess of fabric. So, and you know what? Some of it I bought for $3 and $4 a yard. So, and even at that, there were so many colors I want for my space themed quilts that I want to get back to, and so many colors that I wanted to get back to my landscape quilts with. So look at this. You ready? Okay. And she said, if you spend $75 or more, and ask for it, they would throw in a free tote. Well, yeah. I said, may I please have a free tote? So let me bring all this out. This was packed in a small box. Mark's like, that's the heaviest box. I'm like, it's Jenny, duh. But she does this a couple times a year. She will say, I'll give you an extra 20% off of my clearance prices. Now, most of these, in my own defense, they're just a half yard. But here is one. Pure eye candy. And, oh, you bought some too. Sonia is another Jinny Beyer lover. Sometimes, yeah, yes. Well, when he heard it, he said, when I said Jinny Beyer is having a sale on her clearance stuff today, a really good one, he said, well, what is a Jinny Beyer girl to do? And so it was like, go for it. It's like, yay. But anyway, but I use this stuff all the time. Here is, I got 1 yard of this because I have had this in my inventory several times and I use it all up. So, look at these. It's just so exciting. I opened the box, but I haven't looked through them until now. Isn't that great? You know, I'm doing that tiger, that jungle scene. And look at this. None of this was over $6. It was all between $3 and $6.40, maybe. Look at this. I love it. See, when the fabric makes you smile, you have to get it. Isn't this beautiful? And, I have to make myself, it's like, Deb, buy different colors because I'm drawn to the same colors over and over. Okay. And you can see some of these being used in my space design quilts. Oh, this is gorgeous. In fact, didn't I buy some of this? I think I might have gotten some of this from Pineapple Fabric. So now I have a little bit more. Okay. When I do Mars and Jupiter, I've got some good fabrics. Oh, and I bought Mark a little present because, I got the newer car. He had to take my van. That hurt a man's ego. And then I had to get accessories and cleaning supplies for my new car. So I found this. It's about this big, and it's supposed to be the moon. And they've taken this ball and somehow done some kind of finish on it to make it look like the moon's surface and the craters and everything. And it has an automatic touch where you can brighten it, have a dull, a quiet color moon or a bright moon. And then when you charge it through a USB thing, it turns red to blue. It is so beautiful. And when I first saw them, it was expensive, but I said, I can find it cheaper. I found it at Walmart for $12. He was really touched. So I didn't tell him it was coming in. And I said, I bought you a present and handed it to him. So, because, he doesn't often buy fun stuff for himself. He buys serious things. But Look at this. Is that a great jungle color or what? Anyway, but I thought, I've been a lucky girl. I'm going to share the wealth there. I like how subtle that is. I love things with multiple colors, and look at this red. I want to do a planet, or it's not going to be a planet. It's going to be like a meteor that is all molten on the inside, but it's dark on the outside. This would be a cool fabric to do. I'm going to have to do reverse applique on it. So, oh, thanks. I just look at fabric and say, what would I use that for? This is perfect for one of my nebulas, because it has like a gaseous light, kind of look. Here is another good one. Now, what you don't know is after I'm done on here, I'm going to lay all this on the floor and roll all around in it like a dog rolling in a dead worm. So cheap. Too much information, Deb. Look at this. Oh, that's going to be fun, Jody. Oh, have fun with your sister-in-law. This is an unusual color. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do. Oh, look at this. I'm kind of becoming fond of purples, I've noticed lately. Isn't that beautiful? I love these. Looks like craggy granite. And I get some unusual things because sometimes you need blenders for the jungle and things like that. This one is beautiful. I've had this fabric before and used it. And there's just something magical about it. This would be so pretty if I made like a steampunk kind of quilt that had little novelties I've collected over the years on it. It's magical to me. Isn't that beautiful? This one I have ordered I don't know how many times and use it up every time. Because you can use it for fall. You can use it in landscapes. Here's another good one. Very subtle. Remember, with landscapes, if you want to create depth, you need to have lots of different fabrics. And each one brings that little something to your work. Oh my gosh, this is fun. I didn't remember I bought all this. Look at this. And I love it. They tear all their fabric, so you get a really straight on the grain piece of fabric. Like this one right here, it might look like it's off, but it's not. It's on the straight of grain because it was torn. It's just the fabric. Remember, fabric on a bolt, fabric can get twisted on a bolt. So, if you just line up the bolt and think you're on a straight grain, you're usually not. Look at this one. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love they're deep and rich and amazing. I hope you can understand why I'm such a fan of Jinny Beyer, because her fabric was the first fabric that just reached out and grabbed me. It was like it got my attention. And you probably already know this, but the reason her colors are so bold and deep and intense is when she started quilting, she had been living in India. So the fabrics they had in the market were very intense. I'm always needing green. So, you can't do landscapes without green. But anyway, so she lived in India. And if she had been living in the States when she got interested in quilting, she'd probably used all the little pastels that were going on at the time. Jinny Beyer was the first person to have her own fabric line. And to have companies come to her and say, we'd like you to do a fabric line. And she said, only if I have approval of the actual fabric that's going to be made. I mean, she wanted to make sure it was going to be quality. Now, what they considered quality way back then and what's quality now are two different things. So you will find old pieces of her fabric that you think, well, this is not as soft, doesn't have as nice a hand. Hand is referring to the feel of the fabric, the drapeability. But look at that chartreuse. That is just, and this can be the sunlight in a field. Gorgeous. Yeah, and I noticed when I was doing putting all my fabric on the comic boards that I was low on some of my good reds. But isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. You know what? Wouldn't that be good under some of the feathers in the peacock? Wow. But anyway, so she made her first quilt. She made a grandmother's garden. And the background was a deep, dark indigo blue. And her red was a deep burgundy. She had no idea that back in the States, they were using muslin for the background and pastels for the blocks. But you know what? That was her style. It's what her eye was drawn to. Look at this green. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm almost done. I promise. And look at this. This is probably my one favorite out of all of this. And it's got beautiful fuchsia and blue and purple. Isn't that beautiful? But after seeing all the cute little cutesy calicos, I mean, I love a good 30s quilt. I love pastels. Springtime, I can't wait to do pastels. But when that's all you have, that's a different thing. Look at this. So, and the last one, a gorgeous. I think this should be the molten interior of a meteorite. Isn't that gorgeous? So that's my Jinny order. Look at this, ladies. Do you see this? So I'm going to be busy this week getting all of this folded onto comic boards. Luckily, was it a month ago, 2 months ago, I ordered a bunch of new comic boards. So what I'm going to do really quickly, because I know we're running out of time, I want to show your photos because they're absolutely amazing. And so let me turn off this lamp and show you what you've been doing. Saturn or Mars, you're right. So anyway, believe it or not, I got all that fabric for $118. I told you it was a good sale. So that was amazing. So I'm not going to be spending money on fabric anytime soon. Oh, and sadly, I did not go to the quilting and needlework extravaganza in Statesville. I just wasn't feeling good enough. And it was very chilly and cold and rainy here. And I said, nope, I have to stop. I have to put my foot down and know when I've done too much. So sorry, over 30 vendors were there. It would have been lovely, but nope, I couldn't do it this year. So I will look for it next year and hope that they do it then. Okay, so let me go to your photos. I'm so excited. If you have any questions, let's see. Yep, he did tell me to have a good time. But yeah, and now that I have a car payment, I'm going to have to be more careful. All right, let's see what we've got here. Now, I don't know if I got a new one from Bonnie. Nope, I got these already. You remember that that's a quilt she tested and her Christmas stuff. Let me go back in here. I don't think I have anything new from me. No, but I will show you my little Russell one more time. Gosh, I can't wait to go see him. March is going to be the month I go see Russell. Well, he's so cute. I guess it just didn't broke the photo. Well, it's not coming up, so let's see what else I have. All right. Go back to the photos. We've got a lot from Miss Diana Wright. So let's look at this. Okay, this was a quilt she was doing for a customer. She's gotten it done. Tell you what, no moss grows on this lady. She is such an industrious person. Now these she said she had done earlier, but they're two-handled pot holders, like made like mittens connected together. And I thought, you know what, I will show those to y'all because sometimes things like this will get an idea in my head, give me something to work on for gifts or whatever. But I thought they were cute. Okay, let me go over here. Oh, look at this quilt. And what she did is she put a piped binding on, and then she'll do the final binding. But look at that. Look at that quilting. Look at that binding. That is just beautiful. Okay, let me bring this back down so I can go to the next one. This is another one she finished, and she said this was done with that curved ruler as well. I think she said it was a curved mini ruler, but I don't know if you'll be able to see some of that gorgeous stitching. But, oh, love her work. Love Miss Diana's work. All right. Oh, this one might show you some of her actual stitching. Let's zoom in here. Oh, look at this. It looks like a swirled Baptist fan almost. That's beautiful. Beautiful, huh? And I love how the quilting she does emphasizes the pattern of the curves. Beautiful. That's how you know a good quilter, because she complements the quilting. This is another one of the double pot holders. Love it. Okay, let's see. I love Diana Wright. It always keeps me, she's such a busy lady that she keeps me filled with photos that I can show. Her and Nadine, I think, are my biggest contributors. Thank goodness. All right, let's go. That was that customer quilt again. Here is the back of that runner that she used, the mini curve, quick curve ruler. Beautiful. Okay. More of, and she said she didn't do these just recently. It's when she did them before, but I love seeing stuff like that because I love getting ideas and inspiration to do things. Okay. Now let's go to another one. I'm not sure what this one is. Very productive woman when I can't remember what it was about. Okay. Okay. This must be the back of the customer quilt. I think I know. Oh, look at the pattern. Beautiful, beautiful. I enjoy seeing the back of a quilt because that's when you can enjoy the quilting without being distracted in any way by the pattern. I always thought the back of a quilt reminds me of a fancy wedding cake, with the fancy icing. And that's to remind me I still haven't gotten her John Wayne quilts yet. But I will. Oh, this is so cute. She included this photo, and I hope she won't mind me showing it. But she said that when her sweet husband wants to see the neighbor's cows, that she'll go out and sing for them, and that they will come up to hear. Hold on. I've got my camera's acting up. Well, it was acted upon, actually. I accidentally touched the off button. So Let me double check y'all are still here and okay. Hold on just a second. Everybody okay? Don't worry, I'm still here. Okay. So y'all are still here too. Good. Good, good, good. But let me see if I can enlarge this a little bit more. But they live in Texas on a beautiful piece of property, and the neighbors have cows. Isn't that beautiful? And if you've ever been near cows, they have the little noises, especially these. What they've done is they've already eaten, and now what they're doing, what we call chewing their cud, where, because they have like 4 stomachs, and they have to chew and re-chew grass. Grass is very hard to get nutrition from. So they'll sit and relax and chew and make their calming noises, and it's really peaceful. It's lovely. So I love that not only is she a talented quilter, but she sings to cows. She's a cow singer. I think that's beautiful. Have any of you ever driven past a cow field and mooed at them? My dad always did that, so now I do it. I love these footprints in the sand. It always reminds me of that parable of where were you when I needed you and you only saw one pair of footsteps I was carrying you. I love that. Even though I'm not a religious person, I do love that. But look at this beautiful, I love the pebble look. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, this is beautiful. She has a friend who's fighting a serious illness, and I think this is just a lovely quilt she did for her. Lovely, lovely quilt. And isn't that true? Quilts give such comfort, and there's nothing like something that's made by hand. So, look, just lovely. All right, I think that's the last of this one. Let me see. Whoops. I didn't mean that to happen. Okay, so we got all of Diana's. Let's go back and see who else. I wanted to show you. Here is my folder of flamingos that I keep for I keep this for my research into what does a flamingo look like. So I just wanted to show you. Okay. And we had Jamie's from last week where she's redoing her room. I just wanted to show you one more time. Look at the size of this television in this gal's room. Now that is quilting in style, isn't it? I mean, look at that. Look at her nice chair. What a lovely, lovely room. And she does more than quilting because she's a crafty gal. So, okay. Now let me go back out here. And Jody, I think this is the newest one I have so far. This is her for Landscape Live Thursdays. Look at that. That girl is talented. I can't wait to work on them. We'll work on them again this Thursday, I promise. And then Mary Zaire, even though she had been in the hospital, this gal's been busy. Look at what she's been making. And you know what? Quilting will make you feel better, that's for sure. Look at her bird. Look at these blocks. I just love it. Love it. Way to go, Mary. Even though you have been in pain, you have done exquisite work, darling. Okay. Now let me go back here and see what else. Oh, Maureen, I've got some good photos Maureen's been doing. All right. And she's doing something I promised myself I would never do. They hexagons, but doesn't she do them beautifully? I love hexagons. I just don't think I could bear to ever make them. Look at this. And then she made bags for her daughter's crocheting supplies? I love that. And she can keep each project. This is what she won from that contest from oh boy, what was the name of that company that I saw from Pineapple Fabrics? And the whole country caboodle, I believe is the name of the country. Mother and daughter team out in Iowa. What wonderful things. And here are some more hexagons. More hexagons. She's gone hexagon crazy. Here are the patterns from the whole country caboodle. Here's one of the boxes when she opened up. It's got fabric and patterns, and what a wonderful prize. More hexagons. Look at those beautiful hexagons. Now, would you call that English paper piecing hexagons? See, that's how little I know about them, because I think I would break out into a rash if I tried to do a hexagon. I have a friend who does the millefeuille, which is the tiny, tiny piecing. That, oh my gosh, I know I would break out in a rash. Great work, Maureen. Thank you so much for all those photos. Okay, what's so nice now is I can pull photos off of our new group. Yep, I showed these last week. These are Miss Nadine's things. I'll show you a close-up of one of them. She had some time off work, and boy, did she make good use of it. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And she loves everything Edita Sitar puts out, which is nice. Okay, I wanted to show you 2 pieces of fabric that I think are amazing. I got a flyer in the other day, and isn't that beautiful? I do believe these are Hoffman's, and that is a gorgeous panel. Think of what you could use that as a beginning, and you could do all kinds of embellishments. I mean, do 3D, because I have a cityscape that I did Trapunto. I put specifically cut to the shape pieces of batting behind it and built it up. And it would be amazing. But I just thought I would show y'all. So we're so lucky. When I first started quilting back in the late 80s, the very end of the 80s, I stopped quilting for 10 years because I just was not inspired by the fabric that they had out. And now you ladies are so lucky, especially you young ones. I mean, we didn't have rotary cutters. We didn't have all the amazing tools you have now. Some of these rulers and everything. So I think that's what I've got for you today. And I think I covered it all. If you have any questions, please let me know. I bet you she's all warm and cozy. Last night, I got chills again, just like I did Thursday night. So Mark said, let's put you in bed. And we got new electric blankets, throw size. And he said, I'm going to cover you. We'll plug in your electric blanket and get you warm. And it felt really, really good. Oh, Cheryl, maybe that's it. Or maybe I'm just too lazy or not talented enough to make sure I got them done just right. I had a bunch of hexie kits that I sent to my former sister-in-law, and she was so kind. She shared all kinds of bits and bobs of yarns. And so I got her hooked on hexies. So, because she's a knitter. But anyway, but I will take good care of myself. I promise. Any questions that you have, that I do love working by hand though. So some things are worth doing by hand. And in fact, I'm going to take up my daughter's wedding quilt, the one I've been working on too many years to mention. I'm going to take it up tonight and work on it while I stay warm and cozy on the couch. So I will take care of myself. You all stay warm and take care of you. The Rubik Cube works beautifully with a jelly roll. You just would need a jelly roll and background fabric. And so how easy is that? Any of you have jelly rolls that you'd like to use? The one thing about the Rubik Cube is you do need 2 colors that are brighter. Remember, warm colors advance towards you. Cooler colors like blues and greens and purples recede, but reds and oranges and yellows come towards you. So keep that in mind if you decide to do a Rubik Cube. Keep that in mind because it'll help you have a quilt that really pops. So that's why I don't really like orange and yellow, but I followed her advice because I knew that design would pop. And it does. And it does. So, anything else? Handwork. Oh, hi, Lisa Capon. I watched some of your videos the other day when I was trying to take it easy. It was so nice. I love Lisa Capon Quilts videos. We have Jamie from Jamie's Crafty Quilts. We have some really talented people on here. And when I wasn't feeling that good, I just covered up and listened to Lisa Capon. And I learned things at the same time. Can't beat it. So handwork, this is my philosophy. I have machine work and I have handwork. And I even keep crocheting around because sometimes I'm just in the mood to do something different. And crochet is nice because I don't have to concentrate on little tiny things. I can just I used to take crochet to the movies with me so I could sit in the movie and do crochet. Every once in a while, I'd have to bring it up to look to make sure I was doing what I was supposed to, but then I'd put it back down in my lap and crochet away. So I like keeping all kinds of different projects around for my moods. In fact, yesterday I was cleaning up and organizing all of my paper bead supply stuff. And I still have bobbin lace, and I owe you a visit by a bobbin lace expert. So let me see if I can arrange that. But I get in different moods and do different things. I have a feeling most of us do. But right up by my chair where I sit in the evening is where I keep all my hand projects. And depending on the mood I am is the one I reach for in the evening to work on. Ooh, diamond painting. Ooh, I have no idea what that is. So y'all send me pictures. I'll put it up here for people. I love it. Diamond painting. Ooh, I want to know what that is. Isn't it a great world? Brenda, thank you for coming here. Thank you for spending some time with us. And Brenda, you live in a good place. If you wanted to go to the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party, next year it's going to be January 21st, 2021. It's going to be 1/21/21. So anyway, well, I'm excited to learn what diamond painting is. I think that's great. Good for Nikki. Nikki, you're following along in your mother's footsteps, and that's wonderful. If you have a good hobby, you are never bored. And if you have a good hobby, you're a more interesting person. So, and always content. And you know what? That counts for a lot nowadays. So thank you all for being here and joining. And I hope I didn't overwhelm you with too many things today, but I came home excited to show you what I'd learned and what I was thinking about my year coming up. We'd love for you to join our Time to Quilt group. So if you send me an email, I will send you an invitation. And we keep up the chatting and the having fun all week, sharing free projects, posting our photos. You can post all the photos you want of your family, of your hobbies, of whatever makes you happy. So Kathleen, it was a joy to have you back, darling. It was a joy to have you back. So I would love to see you back again next Sunday. And don't forget, we have Art Quilt and Landscape Quilt Thursdays, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be working on a flamingo. Let's see what you come up. Oh, wait a minute. Cheryl, I had photos. Oh, I wonder where I put them. They weren't in the folder. So you have to come back next week and see what Cheryl Lemon's working on. It's amazing. So take good care. I think the world of you all. You inspire me. You lift me up, and that is great. So thank you so much. Please take very good care of yourself this week. Do something just for you. You can't take care of others until you take care of yourself. So take good care. Stay warm. Eat chicken soup. Don't get sick. All right. It was so good to see all of you. I will keep fighting this cold. Thank goodness I don't have to hear in this ear for a week. But take good care of yourself, please. Come back and see us again. Thank you to Susan for doing such a great job moderating this group. She's the best. Akko, I forgot about my Akko. How could I ever forget Akko? Y'all take good care. Diana Wright, it's so wonderful seeing you. Take good care of yourself, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye. Take care.